A pleasant day to everyone. I am Christian Jude, and today I'll be discussing about literary devices. So we'll be learning its function and how we can use it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the discussion. So what are literary devices? So literary devices are techniques writers use to create specific effects. Its importance, so it makes writing more engaging, persuasive, and also expressive. So one common type of literary devices is what we call or the figures of speech. So what are those? So, figures of speech is a type of literary device using words in a non-literal ways for effect. So its purpose is to add emphasis, vivid imagery, and make writing more memorable. So let's tackle about the first type of figure of speech, which is simile. I guess you're all familiar with this one. So let's discuss about it. So simile is a comparison between two unlike things using like or as. So take note of this. Using like or as. So here's an example sentence. Her smile was as bright as the sun. So as you can notice, so the sentence is using as. So now let's discuss about the next one, which is metaphor. So metaphor is a comparison between two unlike things without using like or as. So here's an example sentence. So time is a thief. The third type of figure of speech is what we call the hyperbole. So hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration for emphasis. An example sentence, I've told you a million times. Next is what we call personification. So what is personification? So personification is giving human qualities to objects or animals. Example sentence, the wind whispered through the trees. Okay, now let's proceed for the next figure of speech, which is onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia are words that imitate sounds. Example, bang, crush, buzz, and sizzle. The next figure of speech is what we call imagery. So imagery is a descriptive language appealing to the five senses. Example sentence, the scent of fresh baked cookies filled the air. Next is what we call foreshadowing. So what are foreshadowing? So foreshadowing are clues or hints about what's to come. So an example for this is the story of Romeo and Juliet. So in the story, Romeo says that he'd rather die than live without Juliet. So let's move on for the next figure of speech is what we call alliteration. So alliteration is a repetition of the same consonant sound at the start of words. An example for this, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Okay, so for the last one is what we call allusion. So allusion is a reference to a famous person, place, or event. Example, he's a real Einstein in math class. So those were the figures of speech. And now let's move on to some other forms of figures of speech. So the first one we're going to talk about is the paradox. So I guess all of you have heard this one, but quite seem unfamiliar with this one. So paradox is a statement that seems contradictory, but it reveals a truth. Examples, or example rather. So less is more. Another one is symbolism. Symbolism refers to when an object represents a larger idea. An example, a dove symbolizes peace. So another one is what we call idiom. So what are idioms? Idioms are phrases with the meaning different from its literal words. Example, it's raining cats and dogs. So this means that it is raining very hard. So the next one is what we call oxymoron. Oxymoron is a phrase combining contradictory terms. Example, bittersweet jumbo shrimp. Okay, so another one is what we call euphemism. So euphemism is a polite way to say something unpleasant. So example sentence for this, passed away instead of died. So in this way, it creates a lesser negative impact towards someone. And now let's discuss this one. So I guess this term or terminologies is quite common, especially now in the social media. So I guess you all have heard about the word cliche. So what is cliche? So cliche is it refers to an overused phrase. Like for an example, happily ever after, in the beginning, yeah. So those are terms or terminologies, phrases that is very common everywhere. Next is what we call pun. So pun is a humorous play on words. Example, happily ever after. The next one is what we call anaphora. So anaphora is the repetition of the first part of a sentence. For example, I have a dream. So you can refer to MLK's speech. So he always uses or repeats the I have a dream. The next one is what we call an apostrophe. So apostrophes is addressing someone not present or an object. Example for this, oh that, where is thy thing? And, and the next one for this is what we call the assonance. So what are assonance? Assonance is a repetition of vowel sounds. Example, so the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. So as what you can observe, Spain, and plain. So there is a repetition of vowel sounds. So I guess that will be all for my reporting. And thank you for listening. And I hope that you have learned something. And if by any chance you have any question, you are free to ask me anytime. Thank you and God bless.